This is Wandering Universe. Today I'll be exploring the palaces at Luxor, figuring out who done it and why they were built. So let's go exploring. As you can see in front of you, this is the map of where the Luxor Temple and Karnak Temple are located. What gets me really curious is that these two temples are in close proximity of the Nile River. There's a reason for that. I know what the reason is, but I'll tell you that in a later video. For now, I just want you to observe these lines, okay, these squiggly veined lines right here, and these mountain ranges out in the desert, all dried up. These are scars of old river systems that once existed a very, very, very long time ago, possibly around the time of the Ice Age. This river right here, compared to how it is today, looks like a vein from satellite image. If you imagine how wide the river was back during the Ice Age, it would have covered this entire dry landmass right here. This suggests to me that this area is a lot older than what other people have suggested. They say 3,000, 4,000 BC. I say 12,000, 15,000, 25,000, or a little further back. Then, this photograph doesn't lie. It's actually telling me, and would suggest to you, that this area here is a lot older, and it goes back a lot further than what mainstream is telling you. This is just a close-up map of how it looks today. And as you can see, it looks green because of the river, but in the previous map, it's all dried up. And I know that these palaces right here weren't built for nothing. They weren't built just because it looked pretty. They were built for a very practical and logical purpose. Luxor and Karnak have been proclaimed as the centerpiece as the temple for the gods. For more than a century since its first discovery, these buildings have been classified as temples. But why? Why would any right-minded person label these majestic structures as a place of worship? Didn't anyone have the foresight to actually take a backseat ride and see a different perspective? And as you can see, this is an artist impression of what Luxor Palace, I'll say, not temple, palace, would have looked like back then. Colourful, majestic, opulent, and a comfortable lifestyle. This artist impression was done by an artist by the name of Millmore, and he just gives an idea of how it may have looked back then. This picture is telling me that if the pillars, the pylons, and the walls, and the stone structure were all painted in colour, that would tell me that colour painting didn't exist until much, much later. Today, it's all dried up due to weather erosion. Back in the past, colour painting didn't erode as quickly. Later on, I'm going to talk about colour from a past ancient perspective and how it evolved into the modern human history perspective. So I'm going to get into that in a later video, but it's interesting. Everyone tells you that it's 4,000 BC, but I think if they added colour to the outline detail of the features, as you can see in front of you, that suggests that they did it a lot earlier. There's a contradiction here in what mainstream historians are saying to what the past actually depicted. Interesting. First of all, There is no way in hell I will stand by this Machiavellian theory that we are the most intelligent species of this ginormous universe. That is your ego talking. Sure, we humans are always on the lookout for our next prize real estate up for grabs. The need to rule our flock and multiply. We humans, for 1 minute, never bothered to question our instinctual wants and needs. We all saw it as part of our daily living to survive. Survive what? The need to belong to something special other than ourselves? In return to please top dog for providing us a lifestyle of safety, security, and an easy, comfortable living. But with every exchange of trade, it always comes with strings attached. As the old saying goes, always read the fine print, but sometimes the fine print isn't so straightforward. Truth is, us humans have a very sordid and checkered history covered in botched ink pages. Our human history of beautiful dreams and horrific nightmares etched a troubling timeline that doesn't paint a pretty picture. So, where did we go wrong? Why do we always keep repeating the same stupid mistakes over and over again? Why haven't we risen above our reptile instincts? And why we stubbornly refuse to acknowledge that there were others who dwelled in places like Egypt and Mesopotamia before us? All right, fasten your seatbelt, because this is going to be a fun ride. Are you ready? Let's go. As always, many archaeologists and historians make fanciful theories on how Luxor and Karnak palaces were built and with what. To be frank, it's mostly guesswork, and sometimes many of their theories are plausible, factual, or sometimes plain stupid. So why am I telling you this? Well, I think it's time to consider other alternative theories that will really scratch the you-know-who silver spoon-fed theories. These buildings were in no way, shape, or form done by us. By luck, we just stumbled upon them. They were abandoned buildings long before we set foot in them. And besides, the complex engineering is way beyond any nomads, farmers, peasants, slaves' imagination. Our primitive construction techniques are no match for the utmost professional quality on display. Sure, we humans may have constructed buildings thousands of years earlier, but on a small scale. No one is buying it. I've examined these. This particular photo you see right here, the columns, very well built, may I say. This particular photo, as you can see, same thing. And this particular photo as well. Same thing. They all look pretty much almost identical in construction design, technique, and architecture. But in the fine detail, it's quite unique. You just have to have a good eye for detail to know where to look. Photos, well, and every single one of them tell me this, that these structures were built by highly qualified professionals. This type of craftsmanship, as you can see right in front of you, requires skilled detail work at a high degree professional standard. They did not use this. Are you kidding me? They used this device. How ingenious, and far more on a quantum cybernetic level. Primitive tools out the window. There is no way on earth we humans can match this high quality professional work. It's incredibly precise. Besides, if you look closely, they were built right next to the Nile River, and I know why, but I'll tell you that in a later video. It seems these buildings are next door neighbours, just a stone's throw away, as you can see featured in this satellite map. And yes, there were other buildings that housed whoever at the time to be in proximity of the area. One would imagine the lifestyle they lavished. It was more than paradise. It was a leisure resort, but it wasn't aimed at the rich and powerful. I mean, just look at it. Does that spell poverty to you? There is a much bigger picture than at first glance. I found one missing piece of the puzzle. What was the incentive behind the construction? Okay, let's step away from these magnificent structures for a moment. Let's look at the topic at hand. Its economy. I can assure you these pre-ancient beings didn't turn up with a truckload of dead sheep. These buildings were built during the last ice age. Believe it or not, there is a huge amount of bedrock underneath them. And yes, they had brains, not just brawn. They knew exactly where to source their energy, food, supplies, tools with their brought over technology. However, one thing has been bugging my brains to bits. Where is the bathroom? You know, toilet, shower, taps, that sort of thing. Where is it? I mean, if these palaces were equipped with everything within, they've got to include a kitchen, garbage disposal unit. I mean, if these pre-ancient beings were organic like us, they ate, drank, slept, entertained, wandered and exercised like us, where did they take out their rubbish? I know, I'm getting a little bit anal here, but I'm really curious to find out if they had these added features housed within their complex. Like, for example, where do they, relieve themselves? Where do they bathe? Well, other than the Nile River, the laundry, yes. What equipment they use to wash their clothes? Like, did they have a telephone, a laptop even, like the one you see here? Surely they used something that was way beyond our modern appliances and home installations. Come on, think about it. There is no written identification on whom these beings were, anywhere, on any stone wall, papyrus, tablet, piece of paper, artifact, or even a blueprint on whom they actually were. It's not like they learnt as they went along or did it at the spur of the moment. These pre-ancient beings were highly qualified professional builders. We did not build them. Why am I saying this? Because of all the opulent buildings constructed with precision on a mass industrial scale, the incentive was not out of the goodness of their own hearts or a charitable donation to Top Dog. No, it's something entirely different. Many of these analysed, photographed and examined monuments have led to this: a religious centre laid out by the gods themselves. This causes for alarm. That is a highly insufficient reason to build these palaces. These buildings were designed for a long-term investment that prospered handsomely over a very long period of time. Did it pay back dividends? For them, of course it did. Like I said, they were smart, smarter than us humans. These palaces were designed as a housing complex. Simple, sophisticated, and comfortable. Then one day, they were left abandoned. Something went wrong, badly wrong, between us and them. You might think the matter is more complicated, but I can assure you it isn't. When they did leave, we just walked right in and squatted the joint. Then we made additions. Think of home renovations done by hired reno professionals. Television shows like Fixer Upper and Hometown. You buy a built house, you fix the outside, you fix the inside, give a cosmetic look and updated appliances, and voila, your new home. Same method applied to Luxor and Karnak palaces, including the pyramids of Giza and many, many more. But what got me thinking real hard after I examined the frontage of these buildings is the writing on those walls, as you can see here. This is the story of human development through centralized power. Hence, Amun-Ra, the sun god. Centralized power is about control of the masses to look after Top Dog's lifestyle and DNA survival. Nothing more. You are the servant to Top Dog, not the other way around. Nefarious use of our freedom. And with every centralized power created, you add a caste system, a pyramid paradigm for control. Why we created centralized power? Well, for one simple reason: to breed. This gives Top Dog license to set up camp with bountiful resources when the threat of danger is low, and is ripe for the picking whoever gives him a boner. Yep, you guessed it, hook up at first sight. A reproductive opportunity to mate with as many as possible for one simple choice: to pass on its DNA lineage like a future security deposit. Therefore, control of breeding selection was needed during the invention of farming. Selective DNA breeding for the prevention of a mass food shortage, hence voluntary slave labour, based on little choice of our survival, of course, in exchange for food, shelter, clothing and water. Nothing more. But for every centralized power created comes with a hefty price. Our egos. Can't live with it, can't live without it. Well, we just don't want to quit, do we? We are so scared to get above our instinctive programming to breed, cause without it we feel empty. That is one reason why these pre-ancient beings left. There is one thing that stands out between us and them. It's how they lived. These pre-ancients lived extraordinary lives that differ from ours. They lived under decentralized power. There was no headquarters, no central bank, no top dog mafia, no head honcho, no overseers, no generals, no sub-generals, no linchpin, hitmen, racketeering, henchmen, a governing body, slave labour, and no debasing of currency. Neither. These pre-ancients built Karnak and Luxor buildings, equipped with highly advanced technology that is beyond our comprehension. They landed, found a nice spot, set up shop, and away they go. There was no need to dial up Central and request a big supply of building materials from 2 billion light years away. They had brains. They figured it out. They scanned the terrain for materials on the surface and found what they wanted. Rocks, and plenty of them. They got to work using stone as their prime construction material. No grudges, no arguments, no ego battles, no unions, no union strikes, no top dog contenders. And the rest is history. I also examined closely who built them, a pre-ancient beings type of family, who found a nice quiet spot to settle and wander. You know, do their own thing. They conducted their own economy by negotiating deals with other neighbouring partners using this. For us, this is the first step. For them, it was their prime monetary infrastructure in their heyday. It's easy, safe, and highly valuable, and came in limited quantities. Think of this equal to or greater in value as this. And no, they didn't have an empire. What for? As I said, they lived under decentralized power. They were independent and used their brains real hard to overcome adversity. They knew what they were doing. They called their own shots, and they didn't interfere. They didn't need to. So, there is conflict going on between us and them. They were a decentralized society based on high technology. We, on the other hand, are a centralized society with high technology. On the other hand, you have Afghanistan, who are the most decentralized society on this planet, but have low technology. Something's got to give, but which one? I'll let you work that one out. In the next video, I'll be exploring another pyramid that was conquered during the Nubian Empire, Pepi's Pyramid. That's all for now.